we have a very tragic story this week. It's tragic, but it's actually something that needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
It's actually horrific.
This is, we always have this battle, and I like to include you guys in on the thought process, but it's like, if you include anecdotal stories or like a one instance type story, it kind of looks like, oh, okay, picking out the trash, right?
Sure.
Picking out the bad stuff just to hyper focus on it. But it's good. Sometimes it's good that some of these stories break because, and to focus on an anecdotal story, because it lets you talk about a huge problem, an endemic problem that happens across the country.
All right, there's this ridiculous story, okay? What you're seeing in the background here, I'm sure you can notice there's a woman with a padlock around her neck, and then there's a picture of a healthy young 12-year-old girl. And most people are saying it's one and the same person. Okay, we're going to get into that in a minute. But this story gets absurd. Now, it started out with this this guy who runs like a TikTok channel or whatever it is.
Douyin.
It's Douyin, which is TikTok.
Yeah, you're right.
And he's like a rural guy. And he's basically a father of 8 is what he calls himself. What is it? Baga Ba or something like that? What does he call himself?
His thing?
Yeah.
Bahai Ba.
Bahai Ba.
Means eight child father.
Okay, so he's got these 8 children and he lives in an impoverished place. Okay, it's dirty. His kids are like...
It's just rural China. It's actually not that rural. It's in Suzhou, which is in northern Jiangsu province.
No, the reason is, like, the whole point... Actually, I think Uncle Mikey explains this.
Yeah, probably.
But what happened was people were, following him. He had a lot of followers. They were donating money and clothing and stuff for his family. And then a do-gooder went out there to go and help him and film his plight and the plight of his family. And while they were filming this, they discovered a woman in a shack, like a little, without a door on it and stuff. But she was chained to the wall. They've censored the little padlock there, but that's a padlock, and there's a chain around her neck. You can see it, like she's chained to the wall.
Baga hides the mama.
Okay, yeah. And she was incoherent, couldn't really speak clearly, obviously suffering from a mental disability. And turns out she's the mother of these 8 children.
Yeah, it says the 8 children's mother.
Yeah, so she's the one who pumped out these 8 kids.
Yeah.
So it's a mentally disabled woman chained to a wall that's been basically, I guess, raped over and over to give birth to 8 kids.
After she was disappeared when she was 12.
But this is when it gets interesting, is that people started to do searches online, because there's this big database. It's called Baobeihuijia, which I've talked about in my video about kidnapping and stuff in the past. But basically, when a child goes missing, people post their pictures and like, this is my child, and etc., etc. So people went and actually found somebody who was kidnapped when she was 12 that looks identical.
Yeah.
Right? That's what that picture in the beginning was all about. Which is just, it's awful. So the synopsis, I mean, what people are expecting happened here is that she was kidnapped when she was 12 and taken to this village to be used as like a sex slave / baby producer.
Sure.
And of course, during the whole process, she was mistreated and abused and beaten and stuff, and she developed a mental disability.
I'm seeing a lot of people. Your mic's low, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat. This is interesting. I'm glad you guys are chiming in, but they're freaking out about how crazy it is that a 12-year-old would be kidnapped to use for this. The reason we're bringing this up is because of how prolific this is. It's insane.
Selling of children that have been kidnapped to rural families. And
and again, I hate to bring this up all the time, but the park that I live next to had 5 children kidnapped in 1 year. Yeah. 1 year.
Yeah. See, now this person who came to help the kids is putting on a jacket on her because she's so cold, and
he didn't expect to find this.
This was an unexpected find,
Yeah.
And he's like, why is there this chain on her type thing?
Right.
Okay. So this is what the netizens have been doing, is they've taken screen grabs and they've taken pictures of the kidnapped 12-year-old girl, and they're kind of superimposing them on each other. And yeah, I mean, look, anyone with a brain is gonna say like, that's definitely her. But you think it can't get worse than that. What happened? First of all, the Suzhou government came out and said that they investigated. It was a normal marriage. There's nothing wrong with this. She's got a mental disability, so that's why he has a chain to the wall. So that's
they literally excused the behavior and said, stay out of it. It's a personal affair.
Then, on top of it, he started to get brand deals where he was now like
That's coming.
Yeah, he's promoting stuff. And then, even better, the Suzhou government stepped in to renovate his house for him.
Yep.
To say, oh, you guys are living in such poverty. We're going to, because obviously it got a lot of media attention. This is a good PR moment where we can renovate your house for you because you have to raise this family by yourself and you have a mentally disabled wife. No one's saying like, hang on a second, you've got a woman chained to a mentally disabled woman chained to a wall in a pigsty who's had forced to give birth to 8 children in like probably
and is a
like
missing child,
1 a year, and who is most definitely looks exactly like this person that was kidnapped. He's getting rewarded for his bad behavior.
The language used by the government is basically, if you read through it, it's that he suffers so much to have to deal with the fact that his wife is disabled, so he alone had to raise 8 children. So we're going to step in and make this poverty alleviation story. And when the bad press came out and all the netizens, I got to give credit to a lot of the netizens who really got to the bottom of this. They were like, this is really messed up.
Yeah.
Something needs to be done about this, and they leaned into it. They said, nope, we investigated, that's not the case. Because in China, when the Chinese government has been wrong, if they're wrong about something, they will never once, ever admit fault.
Yeah.
You will never, ever see anyone admit fault. So what happens here is they say, no, that's not the case. This is a personal affair. We're still going to build them a house.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
And as you're going to see, after we play Uncle Mikey's clip, after we play that clip, you're going to see that this is quite common in China, actually.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon to find mentally disabled people chained up in the rural parts of China.
Or just women slaves.
Yeah, that's true.
Know?
Anyway, let's get into it. Now, we're going to show you Uncle Mikey's clip.
Hello guys, China Uncle Mikey here. Recently, a 8 children's mother from Jiangsu province became a hot topic on the Chinese social media. The reason behind it was she was suspected to be abducted from another province to the village for breeding and reproducing children. When people found her, she was in a quite horrified situation. She was chained up, locked in the room, quite dirty room, for quite a long time, almost 20 years. So let's have a look at the news and have a good discussion.
The news was reported from Feng County, Xuzhou City of Jiangsu Province, located on the northeast part of China, between the border of Shandong Province and Jiangsu Province. The reason why Feng County is such a rural remote place trending on the internet was because a guy called the father of 8 children owns a Douyin account which had 63k subscribers. In his channel, he claimed that he is a father who has a hard life to raise 8 children. Many Chinese sent him aid to help him after watched his videos. Recently, another Douyin blogger visited them to help this family. The original idea was to show a heartwarming story of helping the poor on Douyin. But once this video was released, Chinese netizens questioned why this woman was chained in such a horrible, dirty place. The food and the bed was eye-catching, etc. and etc.
我给你拿件衣服，我看你咱有爱心人士捐出的衣服，我给你拿一件。你这饭凉了吗？饭凉了吗？你能不能？
Due to the tremendous attentions the video got, the local Xuzhou government released an announcement basically saying they got married legally. There is no abduction and human trafficking, and the case is still being investigated. But this announcement was not accepted by the Chinese netizens. It generated more public opinions, urged the local government to release more information of this public affair. The Feng County government lately released another investigation report that says the police is now working on matching DNA in the National Missing Population Database, but not yet have a result. The report is still focusing on how to give the woman a proper medical treatment so-and-so, rather than identify the real background of this woman. The Chinese netizens seemed not very happy with the government report. Someone digged out a missing girl called Li Ying, who was born in 1984 and missed in 1996 in Sichuan Province, Nanchong City. Also posted their facial feature matching picture to show the mother of the 8th woman is suspected as the missing girl Li Ying from Sichuan Province. The news is now still trending. Chinese netizens lately found another disabled, chained, mentally disordered woman in Feng County in the same village and posted another video.
我们才知道，我们今天把这东西来了，你看，这是他们的家庭，这是他的男人，我们都管了，对。
The Feng County case is not a single case of illegal detention, abduction, slavery, or sexual abusing reported in China. Just recently, the Shanghai Little Red House went viral months ago, where a Chinese guy called Zhao Fuchang adopted many girls in the Red Building for prostitution, sexual slavery, and female egg harvesting.
Yeah, the female egg harvesting thing's interesting. You know, we took this footage behind us here when we first did a couple of years ago. We did our quest for the best Chinese. Remember, I flew in from China, and we both flew in, and we went up the West Coast to find Chinese food. And in the Chinese restaurants, well, in some of them, they were advertising this whole thing where you can become an egg donor, and it starts at $20,000.
Wild.
It's a lot. But it's specifically all in Chinese, and you got a QR code and all that. So there's this whole thing about making money off of selling eggs, right?
Yeah.
And that's what this other guy that he was just talking about, who ran that red house thing, that's terrible. It's a huge scandal in China. He was doing that as well. He was like harvesting eggs and selling them. It's kind of disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all disgusting.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's continue.
Zhao Fuchang had deep connections with the local Yangpu government. Officials and the police were many involved after this case was exposed in the public news. One girl fled from the Red Building, then reported them in the local police station, but ironically, she was sent back to Zhao Fuchang by the police. Zhao Fuchang was lately sentenced to suspended death penalty on the news. In the year 2008, a naked mentally disordered woman was also found in Shandong Weifang. She was chained in a dirty hut for almost 15 years by his so-called husband. China Central Television was also reported back in the day.
绑宋桂枝的技术看出隐藏在他内心的无关。
这个人把这风不通，什么路起来了哈？不是我手上一碰了吧？哎，你怎么？
马学义说，孙桂枝有精神病，自己没钱给他治病，只好绑在家里，免得他到处乱跑。
Another Sichuan girl called Cao Xiaoqing was abducted to Inner Mongolia in the year 1991. In the year 2008, she was rescued by the police when she was almost jailed for 15 years in a poor, dirty place. She was also found mentally disordered after the long-term torture she experienced in a horrible environment. If you just search the same women abduction topic, you will find uncountable cases on the internet, such as the famous Henan Luoyang sex slavery case, where a guy jailed 6 bar girls under his basement, where basically just underground holes he dug under his apartment, and the 2 victims were killed by this guy since the resistance. Finally, according to many people replied on Weibo, in China, buy a wife in many of the rural poor villages is a common thing, and most of those uneducated villagers don't think it is illegal. This is the most horrified part of the issue. When the things are treated as normal, the things are going on forever. Thanks for watching. China Uncle Mikey. See you in next video.
Right, so look, it's awful, and while I was living in China, I would quite often read in the local newspaper when they would find people that had been chained up.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is that the people that chained them up never got any legal repercussions.
Nope.
It's just like, oh, these poor people have to deal with a mentally disabled person, so that's why they chained them up. That was usually the outcome.
It goes beyond that, though. I mean, we've seen situations where party officials in some of these villages will rape and sometimes murder women. Mm-hmm. And the repercussions for them are to hide it. Villagers find out, they protest, they freak out, bang on his door, ask the central government to remove him. Never happens.
Yeah.
To quash dissent, they'll basically send in police to shut everyone up.
Yeah.
And they'll usually get away with it. Sometimes their reprimand will be like, okay, you're retired now.
Yeah. Remember, there was a huge issue with illegal brick kilns as well.
Yeah.
You know, where they would basically create slaves out of mentally handicapped people and make
big
them
slave industry in China.
Yeah, like build bricks.
Yeah.
You know, that's all they did all the time. And like these disgusting
The brick
conditions.
kilns outside of the city I lived in had a lot of mentally disabled workers, but they weren't like, it wasn't a government initiative to give jobs.
No, it's because they don't have to pay them.
They don't have to pay them. Because normally they would be chained up.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty awful. And, you know, they always find these people and they're mentally disabled, chained up in a shed or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, I feel like they became mentally disabled by being chained up in that shed. I don't think they started out that way.
And again, it doesn't matter either way. Both are horrific. But I think there's a lot of merit into what you're saying, because these squalor conditions that they're in, horrible abuse that these people suffer is going to scar them and give them PTSD, of course.
That woman chained in that hut for 20 years.
She looked normal to me when she was in her child photo.
Yeah, if that is indeed her, which we're going to say it's her.
Come on.
We're going to say it's her. But the fact that the guy gets rewarded is the worst part.
So let's look at some of his rewards. So this is just an introduction. This is the guy. And his 8 children. So again, he's kind of famous in social media.
This, by the way, is after this whole scandal broke.
Yes.
When everybody knows he has a chained up, you know, slave who gave birth to 8 children in his backyard.
This is after everyone knows.
They all know.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are they doing now?
Again, the netizens are freaking out, but he still has a huge audience, right? So this audience is like, yeah, look at this poor dude. He's raising 8 kids by himself. And this whole thing, this is a very big part of Chinese chauvinistic culture, unfortunately. That if a dad was to raise children, like a mom raising children in China, everyone would be like, yeah, 必须的, 应该的, right? Of course you do. If a dad's raising all these children, that's like hero status. They're like, oh, how poor man. He should be out there poking his potbelly out, smoking cigarettes and drinking baijiu with his friends, not raising the children. That's a woman's job.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Well, what's this clip all about?
So this is just an introduction. I want to go into what has happened, what his rewards have been. So these are again, I put this in because I wanted to show the post scandal, after the government says, yeah, it's fine, it's just a misunderstanding.
I think it doesn't matter what side of the fence you stand on this. Let's just say, okay, it's his legally married wife or whatever. I still think chaining a mentally handicapped person to the wall and then having sex with them is already wrong.
This is so demonetized, by the way.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I just got to say, like, look.
So thanks for your support.
If you're mentally, I'm sure that there are some laws against, like, if someone's mentally handicapped, they cannot give consent.
Of course.
You know?
Of course.
Especially if they're chained in a room. And they're basically pumping out a kid a year.
I usually want to play devil's advocate, but in this situation, there's never going to be a fair trial and there's never going to be a fair investigation. So I don't want to play devil's advocate here. This is an abducted woman that was kidnapped when she was 12, sold as a sex slave, raped and forced and abused, ripped her teeth out, forced to have 8 children, chained up while eating cold, rotten porridge inside of a pig shack. That's what we're dealing with here. This guy is now doing advertisements. This is one for a local wedding photography company or a wedding company.
Why would you want to get your wedding photos taken by a guy who's so-called married to a sex slave that lives in a pigsty? Why? Like, so he's...
Do you also subject women to chaining and torture and rape?
Yeah.
Then come see Bahai Ba.
Yes.
You know?
Come and get your wedding photos taken here.
How do you justify this, by the way? If you're an apologist for the Chinese state, how do you justify that this, not that this stuff happens, that this stuff isn't punished?
Yes.
How do you justify this?
Yeah.
This guy's getting brand deals. We don't even get brand deals.
No. He's getting brand deals because he has another brand deal for, what is this for? A construction company or something?
Listen to this. Let me just throw something out there. We get countless brands that turn us down because they don't want to ruffle any feathers, because they're scared of China. And they're like, oh, we can't piss off China because our supply chains are there. We want that market because we stand up for human rights, because we talk about cases like this.
Yeah.
This guy, on the other hand, is getting brand deals after raping and torturing a woman and chaining her to the wall.
Like, that's correct.
This is the world we live in.
Keeping her in a squalid little pigsty outside the house.
Yes. So, again, he's getting... as another company that decided to sponsor him, it's because he's got a huge fan base.
Yeah, because now he's popular in the news.
Right. So basically he goes around and he says, I choose this company. It's great. It's awesome. Reward me more.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for. And then the government comes to renovate his house.
It's It's just insane.
Like, what the hell?
It's insane. It's, again, you can find so many situations like that where the Chinese government just baffles you by being evil and then steps up and goes even further.
Dude, this is like incel heaven.
Yes, it is.
Okay?
It is.
Go and kidnap a woman.
Yes.
Pay someone to kidnap a 12-year-old that you can have as a sex slave in your backyard.
Yes.
Okay? Chain them up like a dog. Feed them table scraps.
Yes.
Kind of just have as many kids
Remove
as you
their
want.
teeth for some reason.
Yeah. Maybe
she had all her teeth
like,
removed.
Yeah, well, a lot of her teeth were missing.
Yeah.
So maybe it was beating her.
Beating her,
I don't know what the case. Who knows? Whatever. And then if anyone finds out about it, you get a new house. What the hell, guys? What the hell, China? This is low even for the CCP.
It's insult to injury over and over and over again. Yeah. There's so many situations where like people are proven innocent too after they've been punished in China, and then they punish them more.
Yeah.
Because they're not allowed to be wrong. And this is a situation. The normal government would be like, holy shit, back up.
Yeah.
Even like a shitty government. Back up. This is bad press.
Yeah.
This rapist dude keeping slaves.
Yeah.
Oh shit, this investigation just came out. Okay, actually, the CCP stepped up and said, you know what, we're going to punish this guy. The truth has been found out. Homes have been found for these 8 children. They have the means for this. Yeah. And the village has been given 10 million RMB to prevent things like this from happening again.
Yeah.
Nope. We weren't wrong. This guy's great. What a saint. Brand deals, new house.
It's just like, what the hell? Oh, yeah. It's just one of those things. Look, we can comment about this because we've seen places like this. And we've been
this isn't rare. Like this is not rare.
We've got a couple of examples here. You know, whenever you're looking at news about China or you're watching the China shills or something, they'll show you Shanghai. Let's look at the streets of Shanghai or Shenzhen or Beijing or something. Let's look at a big city. Look at the bright lights. Look at the... That's not all of China. That's a small percentage of what China is really like. Like pretty much half of China lives in this kind of rural, kind of impoverished way.
Yeah.
48% or something.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever the statistic is.
A huge chunk.
Yeah. Okay, and so this kind of bad stuff does happen out there. And if you've been out there and you've seen it yourself, you know it's true. You know there's nothing...
Not only that, the locals, if you talk to them, they open up to you. They're actually not super shy about this. Unlike the central government that wants to cover everything up, if you spend enough time, I'm even talking an hour, in a village with some of these people, and you ask them what's to do around here, this stuff comes up because they have no one else to talk to about it. They can't post about it. They can't go call Beijing and tell them about it. So they talk to even foreigners about it. Like, yeah, there's this rapist dude that lives here.
Yeah.
You know, it's bad stuff happens.
Well, I mean,
there.
look what's in the background here. Now, this is considered normal and it's completely acceptable as well as tethering children up with chains as well in the villages. Now, this happens because you've got this issue they called left behind children.
Yeah.
I think it's what it's called.
Yeah, left behind children.
And what happens is, because of the big push for urbanization in China, when you grow up as a young couple in a rural village and you have a child, you will need to move to the urban centers in order to get a job, in order to earn money. So what they usually do is once they give birth to the child, they leave the child with the grandparents in the village, in the rural village. But the grandparents have to also like be working on the farm. They have to be doing whatever they have to do, or they're too old or whatever. So they chain the kids up for the majority of the time when they can't actually watch them, you know?
Yeah.
So that's also something that happens, and it's just kind of like, whatever, you know, to leave kids chained up in a filthy, horrible situation. It's another thing that happens in China and people don't talk about. This whole chaining people up to walls and chaining people up in like pigsties and stuff, it's not a one-off thing is what we're trying to get to here. It's something that is, I could say, fairly common. I'm not going to say it's super common, but it's
it's not like
common.
Oh, Jim does that down the road, but it's so common that they found other examples of this in the next village over.
Yeah.
And in the same village.
Yes.
In the same village that this woman was in.
Yeah.
And it's endemic. It's a problem because what happens is this barrier that the Chinese government has created to say, this is none of our business, this is a family issue, means that people get away with so much of the horror stories that my Chinese friends told me, especially ones that moved to the big city from villages.
Yeah.
About what growing up. One of my friends lived next to a guy that blew up and killed a bus full of people just to rob them, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't in the news, you know, but he was his neighbor.
Sure.
Neighbors down the road, another rapist dude raping his own kids, right? That kind of stuff happens, and it's not that it happens more necessarily, it's that it goes unpunished, so then it does happen more over time because people know that they can get away with it.
Yeah, well, my recent video about that guy who beat his wife savagely, and all he did was get like, well, he got 5 days detention only because it went viral.
Right.
But the woman got criticized and re-educated and told that it was her fault for escalating it.
And the government does do this often, is they'll take the abuser side, because what it does is it calms the situation down.
Yeah.
People talk about it less. Oh yeah, we dealt with it.
Yeah, no, look, it's just a sad, sorry state of affairs, and it shows you that every time you see, oh, China's launching a probe to Mars, or, like, we're going to land a probe on the dark side of the moon. Look at our incredible high-speed rail network. Maybe they should be focusing on fixing this kind of thing first. You know what I mean? Maybe they should be focusing on the fact that you've got people chaining women to the walls, all right? And raping them and taking advantage of them and all the other crap that happens in the rural villages. Because that's a real part of China that never gets the spotlight. We've seen it ourselves personally. Plenty of anecdotes that we could tell you. But this right here just shows you that this is not uncommon. And the fact that people are even talking about this on the internet in China, because usually bad news like this gets censored and you don't get to hear about it. But it just shows you how real it is, and that it is a real existing problem in China.